Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another In the OT podcast for BetHubb Sports Blog.com. Today, once again, I find myself shaking my head at the Commissioner of Major League Baseball, Bud Selig, as he has gone on record explaining why there's no rush and it's not a big deal that instant replay has not been inserted into the sport. In an article written by John Shea of the San Francisco Chronicle, he said, quote unquote, "People in our sport don't want any more. Given our attendance and everything we're doing, we're in the right place with instant replay." My oh my, Bud Selig, you are one lucky individual that you get paid $18 to $20 million to do your current job. And I think that's the number one issue right then and there, because it creates a sense of complacency, and you look at something as stupid as attendance to believe that that is a good enough reason to not want to improve the game. It's just absolutely absurd. First of all, attendance is not a good enough reason to think that, oh, okay, just because attendance is up, that doesn't mean we need to improve the game. That's just one measuring stick to determine whether or not the game is rising in terms of popularity. Just because there's more people in attendance doesn't mean that there's higher ratings on TV, and doesn't mean that more merchandise is being purchased, and doesn't even necessarily mean that the league is generating more revenue. And maybe it's just a short-term spike in attendance. I'd like to see continuous numbers increasing over a long period of time. Maybe there's just a spike from a couple of cities that are having a higher attendance this year. What about the average? Is every single ballpark in Major League Baseball going up? Those are not numbers broken down in great enough detail to just automatically assume that that statement is correct right off the bat. And second of all, even if that was the case, that is just such a narrow-minded, short-minded thought process to have. You got to think long-term. You got to think about making this game as good as it possibly can be, instead of just sitting back and going, oh, well, the attendance is better, therefore let's just screw any possibility of making the game better. And then last but not least, what drives me nuts here is the fact that he says people in our sport don't want any more. Who's people in our sport? Who do you think you are speaking on behalf of the public and the majority of people that watch the sport of baseball? It's absolutely absurd. Maybe your owners, maybe your rich little country club boyfriends that you have aren't necessarily into wanting to change the game because they're all old like you, 70, 80 years old. And they like the classic element of the game. They like the human elements. Well, no, not the younger, youthful generation, which is what you need to be looking at to help this sport continue to grow. They are the people that want to see this inserted into the sport of baseball. I guarantee you, if you were to take a poll right now in the United States, across the world, yes or no, would you want to see some form of instant replay inserted into the game of baseball, that there would be a higher than 50% that would vote for yes. And if that is the case, then that means you're doing a disservice to the fans in the sport by not looking down that road. And when you look at what's gone on with the atrocious umpiring over the last number of years on some of the most obvious calls, it is absolutely absurd that you want to sit back and do nothing about it. It just drives me nuts, and it eats at me inside as a sports and a baseball fan. And it's just unbelievable how this man continues to ruin the game of baseball by not even looking down this road. We already know the dark cloud that's been casted over the sport with the entire steroid era, and I know the people want to point the fingers at the players. I've had several rants on why Bud Selig should be held accountable, because he is the person in charge of the players. We'll put an end to that right there, because you guys can go check out previous podcasts with that. But this guy is just an absolutely atrocious commissioner who clearly does not get it, and it's comments like this today that just further solidifies what I think, and I'm sure many other sports fans do, of Bud Selig. This guy's got to retire. Get out of the game. You're nearly 80 years old. You're becoming senile, and you just really do not get it. Once again, you're another In the OT podcast, BetHubbSportsBlog.com, Chad M breaking it down.